Let's pull up the bounce window. The default key command is Command B, or you can open the mix window and click the bounce button on the output. I'm going to use the key command to open up the bounce window. In the destination pane, we can choose the type of audio file that we want to create. You can even choose to create multiple file types at once by checking multiple options here. The first option, PCM, stands for Pulse Code Modulation, which is just a means of storing an audio signal in a digital format such as an AIFF, WAV, or CAF file. We can also set our bit resolution, our sample rate, and the file type here. Interleaved means that multiple channels will be written into one combined file, while split means that each channel will be written to a separate file. In other words, a stereo signal would be bounced to a left file and a right file separately. Here we can also enable dithering. Dithering is a process that adds digital noise to a recording in order to mask quantization error, which can occur when you convert from one bit resolution to another. So for example, if you mixed your song at a resolution of 24 bits and wanted to bounce it down to 16 bits, using dithering would be beneficial. But if you're mixing at 24 bits and bouncing to 24 bits, the use of dithering would not be necessary since no bitrate conversion would happen. If you're mixing at 24 bits but intend to master your song, it would be best to bounce the mix at 24 bits and master it at 24 bits, and then apply the dither when you bounce the mastered file down to 16 bits. All that said, we'll discuss dithering in greater detail later in this course. For now, I just want you to be familiar with where these options are located in Logic's bounce window. The Add to Project checkbox will add the bounced file back into your Logic project. The MP3 option allows you to bounce to an MP3. Here, you can set fixed bit rates or use variable bitrate encoding. We also have some options for the quality of the MP3. Here, we can also select the stereo mode. Checking the right ID3 tags checkbox allows you to edit the embedded MP3 metadata by clicking the ID3 settings button here, and then filling in the fields. The M4A AAC option allows you to bounce to an AAC or Apple lossless file, and the burn to CD or DVD option allows you to burn your mix to a CD or DVD right from Logic Pro. You can set your typical CD or DVD burning options here, and if you're bouncing a 24-bit project to CD, you'll probably want to enable the dithering option. The start and end fields allow you to set the start and end points of the bounced file in your project's timeline. Also, if cycle mode is enabled in your project, Logic will bounce the cycle selection and that will be set here automatically. It's a good idea to include enough tail in your cycle selection or your bounce range to include any reverb or delay tails at the end of your song. So play the end of the song and watch the timeline if you're not sure where the tail ends. Or you can just check the Include Audio Tail box here. We'll talk about this in a minute. Checking the real-time box will bounce the project in real time. The benefits of a real-time bounce are that you can use hardware processors or sound modules in your mix, and that you can hear your mix as it's being printed so that you can double-check to catch any errors or mistakes in the sound. Offline will bounce the file as fast as your computer can handle the processing, which is typically faster than a real-time bounce. Also, if your project uses more processing than your computer can handle in real time, an offline bounce can usually still allow you to bounce your mix. Bounce second cycle pass is only enabled when you have bounce in real time enabled. This will basically cycle your bounce selection twice and bounce the second pass, and this is mainly useful if you want the reverb tail from the first cycle pass to tail over into the beginning of the bounced file. Checking Include Audio Tail will extend the end of the bounce until any included effects, like reverb or delay, or any included instruments, have stopped producing a signal. The last option in the bounce window is Normalize. Normalizing will adjust your audio signal so that the loudest portion is set to the highest possible level without clipping. Normalize can be set to off, overload protection only, or on. Here's a graphic of Normalize in action. You can see that the loudest portions have been gained up so that the overall level of the entire file is now louder. Normalize will just adjust the gain so that the loudest part of the file is as close to digital zero as possible without clipping. When Normalize is set to off, this won't happen and your signal won't be altered. With overload protection only, The bounce signal will only be affected if the output signal clips or goes over 0 dBFS, in which case the normalize function will drop that signal down to the loudest level possible without clipping. This will drop the overall level of the entire bounced file proportionately. With normalize selected, the overall level of the bounced file will be proportionately raised to the loudest level possible without clipping, just like the graphic we looked at earlier. Once you've set the desired settings, click Bounce and name the file and tell your computer where to save it. I'm just going to bounce one file, maybe an MP3 for now. So I'm going to deselect these other options. I'm going to bounce offline, and I'm going to turn normalize off for now. Click Bounce, and we can call this, say, something mix version 1. And I'm going to click Bounce, and Logic will by default save this to the Bounces folder. You can choose to save this anywhere else on your computer you want, though. Once you've bounced the file, you can listen outside of Logic and even share it. It's always a good idea to listen to your mixes with fresh ears after you do a mix pass so you can come back and make any necessary changes. If you're planning to have the mix mastered or to master it yourself, you'll want to make sure it's not too loud on output, since that won't leave you much headroom for the mastering phase. And that's a good reason not to use the normalize setting. Then, once you've bounced a mix that you are happy with, you can move on to the mastering phase.